We on live? Right. Thank you everyone for joining Lobo Chat with JC Lopez. I got a special guest with me today, Big Lobo Booster. I call him a big dog. Anyway, he's a local man, owns Abrazo Homes. I guess partners. I guess you were partners. Or
Yep.
you're one they wanted to do it.
Yep.
Mackenzie Bishop. Welcome, Mackenzie.
Good to be here, JC. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. You know, I got to know you during the Lobo. You know, being Lobo. You're alumni, huh?
I am. Yep.
Yeah.
2008, I think.
2008.
Yeah. Hard to keep track.
Yeah. I would like to start off with like, who are you? You know, because I'm pretty impressed. I was shocked when, and if I want to share this with you, I've met this gentleman a few times. So I was wearing a suit. So we go visit him at the store a week and a half ago. He's there in his hat and jeans, and I'm looking for Mackenzie. He goes, I'm him.
I don't know. Maybe that day I had flip flops and shorts on. I don't know.
It kind of threw me off.
My typical uniform is based on my calendar, but I think with coronavirus, I mean, it's all Zoom meetings. So there's all the jokes with Zoom. You just wear a polo shirt or a dress shirt, and then you can wear your underwear if you want to. So
I was pretty.
They're all doing
that.
Kind
of shot me and go, oh, I felt bad. Like,
no.
Then you tell me you're only 34 years old.
Just turned 34 in May, yeah. So
tell us who you are. Like, what school, high school, and where'd you grow up at?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Albuquerque area, east of Albuquerque. My parents still live in the same house that I was born in, basically, in Carnwell.
You're in Carnwell?
Yeah, so I grew up in Carnwell, went to school in Tejeras and also in Cedar Crest, graduated from East Mountain High School. So part of the first graduating class up there, so it's cool to be a trailblazer there too. Always been kind of a pioneer, I guess, or an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm saying this is a joke, but I didn't know there were any white boys in Conwell.
I know there weren't many of them, but I was one of them. But you know, the cool part about growing up in a place like Cornwall is you're absolutely right. You're definitely surrounded by a ton of diversity, and you just immerse, and you don't see. You don't see the things that we're talking about on TV right now. You just don't see that stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
That's like another world.
The boundaries are the boundary. There aren't boundaries. You know, it's like that's just my buddy. You know.
Yeah, I grew up in my family grew up in Manzano.
Yep.
So I remember as a 12, 13, 10-year-old driving through Carnwell, but there were two little roads through Carnwell. That was like a town way far, just right here.
Yep.
You know, but when I was young, it was out of town.
That was a long ways away.
So Carnwell, I'll be darned.
Yeah. So my parents still live there, and still in that same house. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, interesting. And you went to East Mountain High School, sir?
I went to East Mountain High School. Yeah, graduated from there, and went to UNM. I was looking at a bunch of different colleges, but UNM gave me a great financial package for academics, and there was no reason to go into debt going somewhere else when I could just be right here.
Did you go get a? I understand business school.
Yeah, so I went to business school. I actually originally was thinking about majoring in political science, and then got really burnt out on politics pretty early and decided I wanted to be in business, not run for public office, because it's incredibly frustrating to be in government. So business is a little bit more straightforward. It's easier to kind of do what you want to do and practice the kind of leadership you want to
When you were young, did you play sports?
I did, yeah. I was very much into sports. When I was really young, not so much, but in junior high and middle school, and then also in high school, kind of got into it. So at East Mountain, at one time I was playing 4 sports: basketball, soccer, baseball, and track. But basketball was certainly that was the number one.
Is East still East Mountain, they had a pretty good Little League All-Star team, didn't they? East Mountain?
They did pretty well. East Mountain High School has actually won the state championship in baseball, 3A, maybe twice. I know they won it once, but maybe twice. So
really?
Yeah, so it's baseball's big up there for sure.
Yeah, I kind of remember reading when the Little League All-Stars come in, East Mountain has a pretty good team. Yeah. Tim. Yeah, anyway, so going back to growing up, what middle school's there?
So that was Roosevelt Middle School, A. Montoya Elementary, and Roosevelt Middle School.
I got you. So Roosevelt, that was right there in Tejeras, right?
Yep, right there in Tejeras.
Yeah. So going back a little bit, you grew up in the mountains.
Grew up in the mountains, came into Albuquerque, lived in the dorms my freshman year back when it wasn't a requirement at UNM. So it was important to get that college campus environment and atmosphere.
Jocona Hall?
I'm sorry?
Jocona Hall?
No, I had some friends living in Jocona Hall. I got to live in Redondo Village, which that was the nice one when we went there. I pulled the right strings, I guess, to get into there. But that's where I actually forged a lot of relationships with athletes there, because back then, before Lobo Village and all things, that's where a lot of the athletes lived. So that was the athlete dorm.
Who do you remember back then that
So, like my roommate was a baseball player and started dating a volleyball player across the hall. And, a lot of the basketball players lived there. A lot of the football players lived there. So definitely have some close relationships with a lot of the guys that played sports at UNM during that time. Not all of them, but quite a few of them still have those relationships to this day. Baseball players, football players. So
the other day you're saying you played golf with Craig Snow?
Yes.
Basketball coach? Yeah.
So got to, Craig and I are close buddies. I don't even know how we got together. I mean, really, Coach Weir kind of connected us, and we kind of hit it off. And Craig's a great guy. I mean, he's so freaking smart, and he's a way better golfer than I am. So it's always a pleasure to talk to him. But it's, what I like about Craig, and what I like about a lot of the guys on the staff, is they're just such real people. They're so relatable. They're not, they'll just strike up a conversation with anybody. So
growing up, the Lobo coaches were always like the guys. They're like
it's this mystical creature.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, as I got older and then getting more involved, and they're like you and I, man. They're just regular people that love the game, and that's what they like.
I think some of that has to do with just demographics and generational type stuff. But I also think social media brings a lot of those barriers down. A lot of the guys are on Twitter or followed on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and I think that a lot of those platforms have made it. In some ways that's a good thing, but I also think that there's a lot of things that have to do. I talk with Coach Weir all the time about the players having Twitter and there's people are not very nice. I mean, on social media, when people hide behind a screen, they'll say some things that they would never say to your face.
That's what you tell them.
Some of these kids are just.
You don't want them to get on it. You don't get on it. Don't even look.
It's hard to tell them that, but it's really for their own good in many cases.
When I had Coach Weir on here, and he was mentioning that he doesn't do Facebook.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He got off Twitter before last season, and I asked him a couple weeks back. I said, "Are you ever going to get back?" And he's like, "No, there's no way." And it's just there's positive that comes from it, and but there's a lot more negatives.
Yeah. Like myself, I'm 65 years old. Okay, so I've been on Facebook since last August.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do it. And that's with the young people. This young man, Tim Jr., is the one that hooked me up with Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And I go, okay, I'll do what the heck for business, So, well, it's a pretty good avenue, And,
really
and people that know me tell me, guys, for you not want to do Facebook, you're having a show on Facebook. What's that about? And I know. So I try to keep it business, try to keep it, I don't want to do all that. The mitote, I don't know where mitote means, the gossip. I don't like to do none of that stuff.
It's a political sounding board for a lot of people. I mean, I'm actually pretty partial to Twitter. It's you can get news faster than anywhere, and I like just seeing the variety of different perspectives, and all the retweets and replies and stuff. It's cool to see. The dialogue, right?
Yeah, because I have Twitter, but I don't post on Twitter. I just leave.
You're a consumer.
Or I even have Trump. I have Trump, just to listen to some of the stuff that he says, bro. It's like, whoa.
I follow Trump too, just almost to see the train wreck every day. It's like, holy cow, he said that? Oh my gosh.
And then the responses, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
So we're talking about Trump a little bit. I still see him as a reality show. I'm just not, I can't get into the good or the bad with him. And I just stay in the middle, I don't let it affect me, because it affects a lot of people.
It really does, and it's been from my opinion, it's been kind of unfortunate to watch how it's all kind of played out. I think, Trump, a lot of his policies from my perspective are there's some good ones, but I think just the hard part is as the chief executive and as the leader of the free world, right? I mean, you have a bigger.
Gotta watch what you say.
You have a bigger commitment, not just what you
You and I can say that.
Right.
You and I can say that, but we're not the president of the United States. When he says stuff like we're like, what?
It's like no one's ever told him not to say something, and he's just like
or if they do, if he does, that's right. It's like one day we're talking about. He goes, "We're putting up the wall, right?"
Yeah.
Like, okay. And then he says, "We're gonna put the wall on the Colorado border." Yep.
Even the president doesn't know that we're a state.
Yeah. So anyway, that's on Trump. Tommy, this COVID-19, has it affected you any somehow?
I mean, obviously, I think if you say it hasn't affected you, you live in a hole or live in your basement and you get all of your stuff delivered to you. I think everybody's had it affect them. for us personally in our business, we were deemed essential early on, so we were very fortunate that we were able to continue building our houses, and that was important because there's a lot of people in our business. Almost all of our work is outside, and there's very few people that are actually on site at the same time concurrently. So you're able to do things in a safe way, and we put a lot of different safeguards in place to make sure that we were even taking all the precautions that we really needed to. But it was very important because there's thousands of jobs that are impacted by that, and then there's also when a house is halfway finished, it's very vulnerable. You need to finish it.
People that don't know that just logged on. This is Mackenzie Bishop. He's the owner of Abrazo Homes. He's a big home builder in Albuquerque, and that's the business that essential, like you say, it was good that continue because there's a lot of jobs that were still having to be.
Yeah, so in the field and in our field production and operations was affected, but not interrupted. We definitely had, knock on wood, we haven't had anybody get sick in our company. We haven't had anybody get sick among all the folks that work for our subcontractors. But we did have to make a lot of changes in the office. So we went completely virtual. We basically locked the office for 4 weeks and kind of slowly. But even now, I think there's going to be a new normal, if you will, in terms of what's accepted and what's expected. In terms of how many days you need to be in the office. And I think what has been productive about this experience is that I think a lot of the conversations that needed to happen about what does work look like? Do you have to go to the office to work? Do you need to sit in your car from 7 to 8, and sit in traffic, and the environmental impact of that as well, and the time impact of that, and the psychological impact. I think it's just changing people's concept of like what their day looks like, and I think it's a healthy dialogue. I think I see that once we get out of this, we'll see if it's a Nike swoosh or a hockey stick or whatever. But
I look back at I'm 65, and I look back at me growing up, and we never went through none of this stuff, right? But then I look at my grandbabies, go, what are they gonna live? What's their world gonna be like?
Right.
You know what? I got maybe 20 years left, 25 years maybe.
For sure.
Hit 90, I'd be great, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm drinking this water. This Kangen water might work, right?
I'm gonna start drinking it too. Will it make my hair grow back?
Never know.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So so I look at the future, and like the mask. Everybody's walking in here with masks. We walked in with masks, and as you get comfortable, and we're still 6 feet apart, so we're good, right? But you see the restaurants. Yeah. They're being affected. Yeah. Finally, people are coming in. I stopped in a restaurant finally. You like miss it.
I know.
You don't realize.
I know.
You do not realize that you sit down and just relax.
I went out to eat yesterday for the second time and sat on the patio, and there's no one there. And as a business person, I'm sitting there saying, there's just no way that these businesses can do this.
Can stay alive.
There's no way that somebody paying a lease on a full building can work with their building 25% full or however full. And I know that they're allowed to do, I think, 50% now, but not everybody. It's hard to make sure that you're maximizing that capacity throughout the day. So it sounds like people are trying to open up to see how it goes, but it's a challenge. I've got some dear friends that are in food service and are in the brewery business, and it's like, man, they've had to have a lot more stressful and sleepless nights than I've had.
And when you see the 50%, 50% of the people that want to go out, the other 50 are probably afraid to go out. Right. So it might be good to till you know that it's good, it's clear,
Yeah. No, it's unprecedented, and I think we're all learning maybe the things that we've done right and the things that we've maybe done wrong, and so maybe the next time we'll know differently, because I do think that this is it's not the first time it's going to happen. It'll in the last time it's going to happen again.
And we're fortunate that we live in Albuquerque, in New Mexico, because you know what? We're not on top of everybody. We don't have the millions of people on top of us, right? So I think that's why it's not as bad as it was. Or,
sure.
We've always been clean people. Yeah. We've always washed our hands.
Right.
Always,
Right.
We've always covered our mouth when we cough.
Yeah.
We grew up that way.
Right.
So, and a lot had to do with that. That's why it didn't really get hot here like that, because people are clean in Albuquerque. I know,
right.
I don't see 30 people here,
Yeah.
So, so that's, we're pretty excited. We're lucky that we live in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Well, you're the future, I think, of the home builders here in New Mexico.
Well, we hope so.
With Amazon coming out, And houses, the west side's going to start exploding again and you're in the right position, Can you tell me where you build your subdivisions are? Where's your Abrazo homes at?
Yeah, so right now we're functioning, gosh, I lose count of the communities, maybe 9 or 10 communities, and we stretch everywhere from the north kind of 550 corridor in Rio Rancho. We've got some new communities coming online up there in that Riverwalk development by Bosque Brewing, kind of along the Rio Grande River. So we're pretty excited about that.
There's a subdivision coming up there?
Yeah,
really.
We'll have houses. We'll have a couple lots that actually back to the Rio Grande,
Beautiful.
which is pretty cool.
And on the north side of that, or we
south side of 550.
There's a lot of other big old houses in there, right?
Yeah, they're acquiring some of those houses, and some of them are getting taken down. I'm not at liberty to discuss the other tenants that are going to be in there, but there's going to be some very cool stuff in there. It's going to be a really cool kind of multi-purpose destination type activity.
55 and over, or it's all?
No, it'll be open to anybody.
Yeah.
And then so Rio Rancho, Bernalillo coming up soon. Northwest Albuquerque, we're ramping down. We're closing out of a community there, but we have some new home sites coming available kind of early next year. Northeast Heights, we've got some ongoing stuff. The big one that we have right now, I actually just left there. We have a project that overlooks Balloon Fiesta Park, which we're excited about.
Yeah. Timmy,
and then we just opened in Mesa del Sol, so we're excited about that.
How many have you over there?
So I think in the first phase we have 20 some lots, and then we're already signed up for the next phase. I mean, we're going to be up there for a long time, build a lot of houses. And then going south, we've got Los Lunas. We've got a couple of different communities in Los Lunas, and Los Lunas has actually been one of our hottest submarkets. So it's interesting. I think people are seeing
because of Facebook, maybe, or not?
I think Facebook. I think it's affordable. I think it's it's what people can afford. And Los Lunas, if you haven't been down there, they have all the new modern amenities and all the new stores. It's just like living in Rio Rancho.
Are your homes mostly affordable housing, or do you have how high end are your houses? The most expensive houses and the lowest?
Yeah, so it runs the gamut. We start in the kind of the low to mid 200s, in the 230, 240 range. We used to start at like 130. I loved those days. It was fun building at that price point, but we're just unable to build there anymore. It's really difficult. But so we go from about 240. Ooh, I can't wait for this. We get some water. Need to wet the whistle. So we go from about 240 on up to 650, 700 in some of our more kind of signature communities in the Heights and also in the East Mountains.
Nice.
So it runs the gamut, but I would say our bread and butter is kind of 275 to 425. That's kind of where we live.
Are the interest rates helping nowadays? People are qualifying more?
With COVID, interest rates plummeted. They went way down. They've since moderated a little bit, but they're still all-time lows. It's amazing how much house people can afford because interest rates are where they are.
Is it helping your sales of your homes?
Yeah, it definitely has helped propel real estate in general. And now, I think what's really been pushing the new home side, the people needing to build houses is the used home market, the resale market. There's just no inventory. Everything's been bought up, and the affordable stuff is not all that nice. So, I think it's made a lot of people start to look at new construction again, which we're excited about.
Excuse me. And the homes that you're selling now, you've been selling the last couple of years, are these first-time homeowners or second time, or are they coming from out of town?
Yeah, so that's really evolved. We've been in business for 10 years. When we first started, it was almost exclusively first-time home buyers. And then as the market changed and that buyer profile kind of went away, we really started to work on empty nesters and retirees and people that were moving here to New Mexico. And then, now we runs the gamut. We cater to those buyers. We now have some new product that kind of caters to first-time home buyers again. But I would say that most of our homes and most of our home buyers are more aspirational. We're not the most affordable option. We're not the cheapest option. So our houses pack a little bit more, some more features and some more technology and innovation. And we put a little bit more thought and energy into making them, look really nice, right. But not break the bank.
Have you thought of building, or do you build houses with in-laws quarters?
We do. We have a handful of plans in all different communities that offer all kinds of different configurations of that. And one of the actually coolest new things is in Mesa del Sol, all of our homes have an optional casita over the garage that can actually has a full kitchen, washer and dryer, and you can actually rent that out as like a VRBO or Airbnb unit. So, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, we talked a lot about COVID and how things are evolving and how people's mindsets are shifting. I think people's mindsets about their house and their living situations, and you know, if I can get $400 a month out of a rental unit upstairs, you know, it pays for my mortgage or pays for my car payment, or hey, pays for another vacation.
With
every
separate
year.
entrance?
Separate entrance,
Really?
separate garage,
Interesting.
separate
Oh,
entrance.
nice.
It's a very cool product. It's been pretty well received so far, so we're pretty excited about
Yeah,
it.
well, that's kind of my future. If I could foresee the future, is, you know, I plan to sell my house one day. My daughter and my wife are like this, you know.
Yeah.
So our goal is to build a custom home one day, a couple of years, maybe 2 3 years, and we're right there.
Right.
You know, I hope, you know, we'll see. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that could be the trend. You know, who knows? You know, that
Yep.
we don't know. You know, what the future's going to like.
For sure.
So for all of us. Yeah, yeah. So, now, I know one of your, your managers, your Joe Cordova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe's one of our project managers out in the
I've
field.
known Joe for years, and man, how did you steal Joe? How did you deal with Joe? Because Joe's sharp and he's on it.
I think Joe, I want to say that I posted that we were looking to fill a position on my personal Facebook page, and Joe was in Colorado at the time doing some insurance adjusting work, and had just reached out and said, "Hey man, I want to get back to New Mexico, and saw your opportunity. You know, can I interview for the job?" And you know, I handed him off to my construction manager and to my HR manager. I said, "You know, Joe's a good guy. You should interview him." And you know, he wowed them, and the rest is history. So Joe's a huge part of our team. He's got such a great attitude, and brightens the day of everybody that he talks to. So you know, that's culture is very important to us as a company. We take a lot of pride in the fact that we're the best place to work for, according to Business First. We're the best place to work according to the Albuquerque Journal. We take a lot of pride in the fact that we are, you know, we think we're the best company in New Mexico in any industry in terms of, you know, how our employees feel and in terms of their love of where they work. So, you know, Joe's a big part of that. He's, you know, people.
Well,
people
you do got a good reputation out there. I mean, I've been in business 40 years. Going to start my 40th year. And I've seen a lot of home builders come and go.
Yeah.
And it seems that you're like you're still growing, man. It's, you know, starting to see the.
Well, I mean, you know, we really focus not just on trying to build, you know, however many houses we build. We really try to focus more on the system. So, you know, we talk a lot of, you know, everybody likes to use sports analogies, right? We're trying to build a program, not just win 1 year and then we have to, you know, lose for 3 years. It's, you know, we're trying to build a sustainable program.
Not rebuild, reload.
Exactly. Like the Patriot way. Everybody has their job, everybody has their role to fill, and everybody's just super focused and working together towards a greater goal. So,
Yeah. Well, it's a good house. You know, I think we did some work for you in one of these houses up there by Kamek.
Yep.
Yeah, and pretty impressed with these houses. I go, you know, 'cause I hadn't been in it's kind of like high end, but yet it's affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not a custom builder, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're allowed to personalize and tailor your house. We've never built two houses the same, but there's definitely a menu. It's like a Cheesecake Factory menu. It's an extensive one, but you do have to pick off the menu. So
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah. You're growing. I see that you're gonna start building a new design center.
we are. Yeah. So we've. When Brian and I first started, it was literally the two of us. We did everything in the company in 2000.
This is Brian
McCarthy. So yeah, I say Brian. Brian, my business partner. We started the company. We're the only two owners. We don't have investors. There's a lot of benefits of that, and we can talk about that if we want to. But
Sure.
so we started, and now we're up to 35 employees, and you know when we first started, we were in a 360-foot construction trailer with no running water and temporary power, and we were there for 2 years, and then we moved into an office and doubled that office, and now we need to, you know, expand our presence
And
anymore.
when you say the 35 employees, they're not the subcontractors. Those are your employees.
Those are our employees. Yeah, those are our, and so we don't actually do any of the construction work. We really just manage and oversee and handle the sales and marketing and the finance and all of that stuff and the customer service and the warranty. So yeah, all of our folks are kind of distributed across all of those different roles and you know, functions in the business. But yeah, we need more space, and so it's been exciting to see the company grow, and our team picture continues to have to get wider and wider and wider to fit everybody into it, and it's cool. You know, we're often reminded, I think most when we go to our company Christmas party every year, and now we have to rent out a ballroom because you know you see the families and you see all of the different people that are affected by what we do, just directly with our employees, but also indirectly, as you mentioned, with our subcontractors, and it's a pretty humbling thing to see what we've been able to accomplish. And I say we as it's our team.
It's your
You know,
team.
everybody does that. Right?
Going back, how did you and Brian become partners?
So I was in college at the time and helped some guys in an accounting class, and was able to work my way into and weasel my way into an interview for an internship. And so I interviewed for an internship at Rayleigh Homes at the time, and Brian, Scott Grady, is the owner of and the founder of Rayleigh Homes, and now the kids are having the ownership stake and they run it. But so interviewed with Brian McCarthy, who at that point was the president and kind of running the New Mexico division, and so he hired me as an intern, and we kind of just gravitated, and we didn't. There's a lot there. I mean, it's a long story between 2006 when I started in the business with Brian and 2010 when we started our business, but we did a business in Mexico and lived in El Paso and raised some money, lost a bunch of money, and we kind of took our licks for about 4 years during the Great Recession. And 2010, we decided, hey, we're going to starve to death or bleed to death if we keep doing what we're doing. We need to change up the approach and kind of roll the dice a little bit. So we decided to start a home builder in 2010, which I think a lot of people thought we were absolutely insane because the housing market in New Mexico and Albuquerque was terrible then. But there were some great buying opportunities, and we were pretty confident that we had a different approach that we thought would resonate with customers. And then we started it, ripped the Band-Aid off, and just worked our butts off and made sure that we weren't going to fail.
And how did you get the name?
So Abrazo, actually, we originally,
good name.
It is a good name. We actually originally picked it in 2007. When we had left home building to go do our deal in Mexico, we also said, hey, we might need to come back and do home building one day, so let's pick a home building company name too. And so we looked up the names that were available. It was very important that we had something that was early in the alphabet, so obviously it starts with A. We wanted something that we could get the website domain that was not some generic libertyhomes-nm505.net. We didn't want that. We wanted something that was just very clear, abrazohomes.com, and so it was available, and we didn't have to pay $5,000 for it. And yeah, it has.
And what does Abrazo mean?
It has significance, right? Abrazo means embrace or hug in Espanol. So, it has a lot of significance, and I think one of the things that's really cool about New Mexico, we talked about it, alluded to it a little bit earlier, is there's just this, whether you want to call it Spanglish or just blurred lines, or everybody's just accustomed to different different languages, different cultures, and it's much more melded. And we're like, yeah, we could totally get away with this and just roll with it. So we came back to it in 2010, started it.
Where was your first subdivision at?
So our first subdivision, which is actually how we got our start, was Sundance Estates, which was at Paseo del Norte, Paradise kind of, and Unser. And so we got very fortunate. There's a long story there. I don't know how much time we have. I could
We're good.
I could tell the story. So I mean, I'll do the abridged version, but it's actually how we got our start. So we were doing this business in Mexico. We were working with an investor here to try to revive that business. And that was a social enterprise building affordable housing in Mexico. And we were working with an investor here who was also a developer, and the developer had a subdivision that he couldn't sell, and he's like, hey, well, in the meantime, we'll try to work this thing in Mexico, but can you help me work through these vacant lots that I can't sell to anybody? And we said, yeah, we'll give it a shot. So we started a process. He was going to kind of foot the bill for the construction. We were going to do all the work, and then we were going to kind of split the profits, and that was the deal. And so we started that, and about 48 hours after we started, he let us know that the bank was foreclosing on him. Oh. And so we were like, oh, well, that doesn't work out very well. So it was a kind of a kick in the pants at the time, but we were actually able to go talk to the bank. It was a local bank, Los Alamos National Bank, and we were able to work kind of an amazing financing deal, and they agreed to finance us on the subdivision and agreed to finance us on the vertical construction. And Steve Wells, the president of Los Alamos National Bank, probably single-handedly is maybe the person that put us into business. And so we never forget that.
That's your angel.
Well, he's our angel.
Guardian angel out there. You believe in angels, there's always somebody out there that, everybody has a story.
And there's a lot of other people that have helped us through the process. And we've been very fortunate with some fortuitous breaks, some good timing. But we've also, when we get those breaks, we're very decisive about taking them. And so at that moment, it was like, hey, we got to go. And so I think Los Alamos National Bank said, well, they thought they'll either fail and we'll foreclose on them in a year, or they'll succeed. You know, maybe it might not be
They bet
the
on you
biggest
to
stuff.
succeed. And
They bet on us, and we paid that thing off in about 26 months, never missed the payment, and made them whole, and we have a business from it. So
Nice.
to this day, they're our biggest banking partner. We still do a ton of business with them. They're an amazing bank, and we owe our business to them. They open the door for us. So
yeah, it's a good plug.
it's a very good plug. They're a great bank.
Yeah, very nice. So how many houses did you build in that subdivision? How many houses?
So in that one, we ended up building about, the original purchase was 68 lots. We ended up buying another 10 or 12. So I think we ended up building about 80 homes in that community. And we built that community out in about 2.5, 3 years. So yeah, and I mean, to this day, I mean, those were the days. I remember all of those customers' names, all of their addresses, and the plan they built, and you know, I mean, we had a lot of that stuff committed to memory. And those early customers, really, those early kind of 15 to 20 customers who, you know,
And a lot of them became friends.
oh my gosh, to this day,
Yeah.
I'm still friends with a lot of them.
Yeah.
They took the risk on us, they took the gamble with us, and they're the reason we're here. You know, there's been a lot of people that have just taken the gamble, taken the risk, and took the plunge with us, and we don't ever lose sight of them.
So when you say you took an internship with Scott with Ready Homes because it was a home builder, not because it was a home builder, just because
Just because I needed a job, you know, I was the real God's honest truth is my girlfriend at the time said, if you go through another summer without a job and keep driving me crazy, we're gonna break up. And I was like, oh, I gotta get a job then. So maybe it's a credit to her. You know, she kicked my butt to where I was gonna stop bugging her. So, but no, it's fascinating to think back about all of the different twists and turns and the breaks and the successes and all the things that have happened, and also a lot of the failures too, and just to reflect on that. And be able to say,
well, you got to fail. People don't realize that you got to fail to succeed.
You learn a heck of a lot more from failure than you do from success. So I actually think failure is one of the most valuable things. If we're not failing, we're not pushing hard enough. So I encourage. I mean, that's one of our tenets of our. That's one of the tenets of our culture is we really want our people to be empowered where they feel like they can fail.
Hey Tim, do you have phone ringing? Phone ringing here?
Sorry about that.
I mean, if we have a call in, let's take it.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah.
Somebody accidentally left the phone in there.
I'm like, what's calling me? Yeah. Okay, so you finished that first one. So that was going. What was the second one? Because the second one's the one who probably.
Yeah, the second one was
Longitude.
the first one that was us taking that next risk. It was actually around the corner on Paradise. It was very close. It was easy for us to just kind of jump over there. Same size lots, almost the exact same floor plans. It was a really easy one for us to just kind of jump into. It had lots of headaches and lots of hair associated with it too, but yeah, we were very successful there. That was our Paradise View subdivision.
Was there a volcano rock out there or not? Or was
I'm sorry?
Volcano rock?
Yeah, so when I said that there's headaches, that community, we had a lot of rock that we dealt with. Fortunately, in Sundance, we didn't really have to deal with a whole lot of rock. The developer had taken care of a lot of that stuff, but in this other one, the developer hadn't really done as well taking care of it. So we got very, very, well versed in dealing with volcanic rocks. So we like to avoid it whenever we can. It's a pain in the butt.
'Cause my daughter lives up in that area right there off of Quebec on this side of your region. And he's the next door neighbor bought the lot. I'm like, gonna cause him an arm and leg, get all that volcano rock out.
You almost need dynamite to put the houses in. In some cases, it's wild.
Yeah. So that was 2010, and then it just started.
Yeah. So 2010, 2013, we moved into Rio Rancho for the first time, and really, and then also into the Southwest Albuquerque. And so we started to branch out a little bit more and start to get our tentacles out there a little bit more, develop some new product, and start going after more of an older kind of an upscale buyer. And so we really just started evolving, and that's been kind of a continual thing. We've kind of reinvented ourselves. We kind of go in like 18 to 24 month cycles where we're continually, trying to improve and reinvent ourselves and come up with new product and new innovations and different things.
Did you ever come across where you could find labor, or you've never really had that issue?
So, I mean, labor when we first started, there was, unemployment was still 7-8% or whatever it was, and labor was pretty easy to come by. One of the big challenges is a lot of the skilled labor, a lot of the really skilled craftsmen went to places where they could get work. So a lot of them went to Texas or went to California and never came back. But fast forward to today, labor is probably our biggest headache. I mean, it is a real challenge to find folks that want to work, and that it's hard work. I mean, you're out in the heat in many cases, and a lot of times it's a very skilled trade, and the generational issues, the demographics it's a challenge. Baby boomers, there was a lot of people that were still in that industry, and then as they kind of retire out and as they get to a point where they don't want to do it anymore,
and their sons and their grandsons they don't want to do it.
Their sons and their grandsons are not wanting to do that, and I think that's part of the American dream, right? But I mean, there's something to be said. I mean, a lot of our guys in the field now, they're making 70, 80 grand a year, and I mean, you can make really good money out there. So,
and that's what I'm seeing in our company. Being a cabinet restoration.
Yep.
That's what mine with the cabinet restoration. My son Jeremy's taking it to another level, right? So, but I was seeing. I had a lot of laborers. It was good. Yeah. And there was a lot of immigrants that came in that learned that just knew how to work, man. That knew how to do that fine detail sanding that it's hard to find, and it grew, second generation, third generations, but it's a dying trade.
It is a dying trade, and the sense of craftsmanship is a challenge. I mean, it's one of our biggest hurdles, and sometimes our customers see it and they let us know about it, is managing quality and trying to get folks to care as much as we can.
Right. And that's what
doesn't always happen.
That's what I do in our companies, that when we tell our contractors who we work for, is that we guarantee our work. We're you. So you hire us, you don't worry about us.
Yeah. You hold us accountable. We'll hold them
we're
accountable.
The ones who are, you come.
Correct.
They have a question, we'll take care of it. No,
exactly.
That's the way I want to. That's what I want to do my business like.
Correct.
When I want to deal with you, I deal with you. I don't have to deal with whoever hired you to do it, right? I deal with you, So, and that's what I, notice. Every time I go by your subdivisions, you got a lot of workers. They're out there.
I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm sure there's 1,200 to 1,500 people indirectly employed by the stuff that we're doing, which is cool. I mean, it's neat to have the business that we have and our customers who have entrusted us to build their homes. It's cool to see that kind of impact.
Okay, so you're 34, you said?
34,
okay.
I just turned 34.
Where do you see yourself when you're 64?
Gosh, when I'm 64?
Have you thought that far out?
I can't think that far
out. and that's 2 years. That's 2 years ago for me.
I'll put it this way, JC. I'll never retire completely.
That's like me. Yeah.
I think one thing that I have learned is I do not want to follow the typical approach of work, and then put your feet up, because there's no fun in that, and then there's no fun now. So you need to balance it.
When I started Minuteman, right, I was 26 years old, 26, okay, 1981, right. So I start Minuteman, finishing. So I'm gonna work. I'm gonna retire at 50. I'm gonna retire.
That was the benchmark.
Oh
of
man,
success,
I'm gonna retire 50. Yeah. I turned 50, and I'm like, what am I going to retire, man? I'm too young to retire.
No, what are you going to do with yourself?
Totally, so.
Your wife will kill you.
Oh, my God.
Get out of here.
So retiring is just a word. It's not even reality anymore. And then now I'm going to be 66 in August. I ain't going to retire. What do you mean? Still no such thing as retiring.
I think I think when people think about retirement, it's not retirement. They think that's when they'll finally get fulfillment. And I think for me, why do you have to put off fulfillment for 30 years? Why don't you get fulfillment now, and then you never have to retire? So,
right.
We've been very fortunate that we've been able to kind of craft a company around, working with the people we love working with, managing it the way we like to manage it. That's why we don't take investors. I mean, we say no to growth as much as we probably could grow, because it's very important for us to control what we do, because if I want to come to work in flip-flops, I want to come to work in flip-flops. If I need to do something that doesn't make my shareholders happy, but it makes my customer happy, I want to do it. I don't want to have to second guess, and I want to look over my shoulder to do what I think is the right thing. So it's very important for us to be able to work in a place where we get to make the decisions we think are the right decisions, and support people in a way, because we have employees that go through stuff all the time, and it's nice to be able to just say, we got you. You know, it's not I don't have to run through an HR policy and figure it out. It's like,
Right.
hey,
Right.
if your family's ill, I don't care how much PTO you have, like get out of here,
Yeah,
go.
go,
You know,
yeah,
like
go,
so
yeah.
it's cool to be able to support them too.
Well, when I was talking to you at the new design center you're going to have, and you started giving me the plans, what you're going to do for your employees, I go, wow, I want to work for you.
Yeah, it's
talk about that, because I was really impressed with what you were planning.
So the genesis of this really started. We did a tour of Zappos, the shoe company, the online shoe retailer. They have a campus in Las Vegas that's just fascinating, and they actually do tours. You can do paid tours to see it, and I encourage anybody that's a business person or just fascinated with that kind of stuff to do that the next time they're in Las Vegas, because it's worth it. It's about a 2-hour tour. And what's cool is they've created this very built environment that their employees get to live in, and it's a reflection of their culture. And our building now is very stale. It's a bunch of offices, and it just doesn't have that kind of fresh, fun vibe that we really like to bring to work every day. And so this building is really, it's going to house a portion of our business. It's going to house kind of our customer-facing stuff and our sales and marketing and kind of more of our customer-facing type part of the business. But yeah, we really want to integrate a lot of that fun stuff. So I mean, there's going to be like a game lounge, a basketball hoop. We'll have food trucks come on Fridays for employee little happy hour, like picnic get-togethers. I mean, it's very important that we have, we maintain, as we continue to grow, we maintain that human connection and that camaraderie and that family camaraderie that you get and that's how you get teamwork. That's how you get synergy. That's how you get consensus, when everybody's just kind of bought in and they're just so ingrained together.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I mean the building's an extension of what we've been trying to build for a long time.
And it's coming to be a reality.
Yeah, it's going to be
nice.
It's going to be very cool.
Yeah. So no, that was interesting when you were saying what it's going to be, and interesting. Like I can picture it. So.
Yeah, I think once we actually finish it, we may even, if people want to do it, we may even set up where we take people on tours. I mean, it's not the biggest building in the world. We're not a huge company, but it is fun, and we do think that we're incredibly unique compared to a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So
because now with Jeremy, we're in the process now of moving into another building, also a bigger building, and that's something we talked about after we're talking. Like, you know what, you need to do something that where, there's such a lot of land. I go, there's something to just do something while they're on break or when they're not after work. They want to, just got to do. So we're trying to put something together. We don't know what yet, but something for the because they, you want them feeling good. You want them to appreciate it.
For sure,
appreciate them. And that's what that's what it's about. And we're gonna grow just like you. We're gonna grow.
I'm glad you were inspired.
I'm telling you,
if we inspire one person to do their business and try to run it in a better way, then we're happy.
That was something that I go that we came out of that without everything else.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. We do have a lot of people watching, everybody.
Nice.
So
that's what I like to hear.
Thank everybody for joining us. You know what, just good man here, great man here.
When I get really boring, just stay viewing, but you can go to sleep. Right?
Yeah. So we talked earlier too. Mackenzie, Mackenzie Bishop, and I guess who is named after. So people that are listening, that are watching, text me and tell me who you think Mackenzie was named after.
Yes, I was born in 1986. It's probably a hint, but think 1980s and Mackenzie and like who I was named after.
And think about So I guessed it by accident.
JC, it actually does build a lot of character. I get for a lot of people, if I've only sent them an email or they don't know me, most people think I'm a girl. So will you tell her to call me? And my administrative assistant will be like, well, he will call you back for sure. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot.
That I never really looked Mackenzie as a girl name. I never did. Till even now that you said, I go, yeah, it was her. It was her name, but it was Mackenzie. First name I got was Joe Mackenzie. Yeah. I knew it was you. I knew it was a male, so I never did it.
I don't take offense to it. When they do it, they're like, oh my gosh, are you? I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
So let's see. And let's see if anybody can guess it anyway. So, your brothers, sisters, you?
Yeah, I've got a sister. She lives here locally. She just celebrated this past weekend her 39th birthday. Happy birthday, Delaney.
All right. Yeah.
And I mean, I think we've all had those of us that have had birthdays in quarantine and coronavirus and can't have their friends and family over like they would have normally. And you know, it's
different, huh?
It is different. You know, it's I think a lot of people have embraced technology to try to maintain some of that connection, but you know, it's just the more we do it, the more we're reminded it's just not the same.
Well, this generation, you know, and you talk about a drive-by.
Yeah.
A drive-by was a celebration they're doing a drive-by.
I know.
When we were growing up, a drive-by was not a.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of employees whose kids we did drive-by birthday parties for their kids.
It was a drive-by, and they're just a new.
You got to do what you got to do, I guess, to make people feel special on their day.
This new era.
Yeah,
it's a drive-by.
Drive-by.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna. What I'm getting here is it's Mackenzie Phillips.
Yes.
From One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time. Yeah.
And that was your mom's favorite show?
No, I don't think she was actually into it. I think she just, heard the character's name. Was like, oh, I love that name. It's so strong. And maybe she thought she was going to have a girl and she was ready for it. Or I don't know what it was.
No, Mackenzie, it's a strong name.
No, I mean now it's my name and I love it. And
did you ever, growing up, go through a lot of?
Yeah, I mean, there were times like a lot of people ask like, what do you go by, Mackenzie or Mac? I was very proud of my name when I was a kid.
Yeah.
No, it's Mackenzie. Now most people call me Mac, or
do they?
Only the people who have known me a long time call me Mackenzie.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I love my name, and name is a huge part of a person.
Part of who you are. Yeah.
If I was just Michael or somebody, it wouldn't be near as cool, right?
Yeah.
I guess
it's like I'm JC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Jose's. I'm a Jose.
Yeah.
But when I was called JC,
that's what I'm talking about. I love it.
Let's talk a little bit about Lobos.
I love it, man.
How did you get involved as a booster? Giving back? Because I know you give a lot back.
So my relationship with the Lobos goes back a long time. When I was a kid, during the Dave Bliss eras, Kenny Thomas, Charles Smith, Clayton Shields, that was the first team that I really followed. So all of you guys that know the teams when we were really, really good, I don't have as much.
Stretch Howard, Mel Daniels, Peter Gibson.
Yeah, I don't have near as much, as much context with that. But that was a pretty formative time, and I loved watching those teams back when Converse was in, and that was our shoe. I had the Converse Lobo shoes. I loved those things. But when I went to college at UNM, I definitely wanted to get very involved, and in that time kind of became one of the grassroots, part of the grassroots organization of, at that time we called it Section 26. It was the first year that they moved it down to the baseline, because the student section actually used to be behind the Lobo level, along the sides. And so the first year they moved it down where we could be right by the visitors bench. I think it was Alford's. It was McKay's last year. It was the Mark Walters era. So the first year, Danny Granger's year, was my freshman year, and that was the year that it was still on the sides. And then it moved down the next year. And there were some upperclassmen, and we were working with them, and I was still a junior at the time. And so we started to organize. And so we called it Section 26, and I created a website where people could buy shirts. And so we wanted everybody to kind of, have that branding and really go with it. And I feel like, that was the era when that student section, I mean, we would camp out and we would make events out of it, camping out for tickets. And so, to this day, I've got some employees that work for me now who I met during that time, and we're student section, comrades in that movement and initiative. So Lobo basketball's been part of my life for a long time. It's the only sport I really, really care about.
Did you follow all the sports or just more basketball?
I mean, I followed football a fair amount, but I mean, basketball was like live and die. Like that was, that has been always what I care the most about. And I mean, I was a basketball player growing up, so that's what I cared about. So, fast forward to today, I kind of distanced myself a little bit during. I was all about Alford. That was kind of the the time when
we were all.
We all were, right? I mean, we were all drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. And when Neil took over and just the way that he managed his team, like I really kind of, I kept my season tickets, but I didn't feel like I had that same level of affinity.
It's funny we all went to that.
And so they terminated Neil, and he went off into the sunset with his buyout, and when they were looking at coaches, I was actually they were looking at a bunch of different folks, and I was actually all about Steve Forbes. Like that was the guy. I was like, man, he's sharp and he's gritty, and that's the kind of coach like I really want us to have. And so when they announced that they were hiring Coach Weir, when they were hiring Paul, I was like, come on, like Aggie coach, like that's the best we can do? Or are we just trying to avoid a buyout? Or is this a budget thing or politics? And I was like, what is this? And then he had his press conference when he started, and I was like, holy cow. I mean, I've never seen someone win a press conference more than him. And he's just so smart, so humble. You know, you can just tell that he's got the right mindset about managing and leading players in today's era. You know, he's just a freaking smart guy. And I was won over immediately. And so I think I went in with some folks at the Lobo at the Cherry Silver auction to get dinner with the coach, and we hosted it at my house, and got a chance to meet with him and talk to him, and he's
a friend now to you, huh?
He's a friend,
huh?
yeah. I mean, I would classify him as a friend.
Yeah,
you know, we talk a lot about stuff, and just has nothing to do with Lobos. It has to do with just leadership, or this is what's going on in my business or my industry, and I've got this challenge, or he's got this challenge, and it's cool to have that kind of conversation with him. And I know that it's a challenge for him too, because this town's a tough place to coach.
But he's healthy, I'm a big supporter of him, and I do end up. And I tell people, give time. I say, young man, give him time. He's dealing with these kids nowadays too. Give him time, like these anybody else. Give him time. You can't do it overnight.
Kids, parents, kids, kids as coaches from AAU and stuff. I mean, they're coming with their teams now, and so it is a very different type of environment. Kids are very different today, but there's a lot of positives of that too.
I really believe this year. He's getting the right players.
Yeah.
You can't control what happens off the court, but I think he learned a lot how to control some of these kids.
Yeah.
From,
I mean, I think. I won't put words in his mouth.
They're still kids. They're still kids, even though they're 24, 23.
They're young men, but when I think back to when I was 20, 21 years old, I was making a lot of stupid mistakes, but I didn't have the microscope on me. I wasn't playing on national television all the time, and be on Twitter for all the world to see for everything I did wrong. So it's a different time. And in many cases I think it's an unfair standard that some of these guys have to live up to.
Yeah. Are you MMA?
I watch it every once in a while. I'm all about the New Mexico guys, but I'm not like super into it.
Diego just walked in.
Oh.
Do you remember Diego? Yeah. He's a tough. He's the one that won the original. Remember on TV the first ever.
Yeah. Holy cow!
We'll talk to him.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Going back to the players that you met.
Yeah.
Like Clayton Shield and Smith and Kenny Thomas. That was a great time when you grew up too.
Man, I was very spoiled with Lobo basketball. I mean, when I started kind of following him like 96, 97. Yeah. So from 97 through the end of Alford, I mean, I saw a lot more wins than I saw losses. So, I think that's kind of spoiled us as Lobo fans. I think the world of college sports has changed a lot. It's very difficult to win in the same way that you could win. The playing field is completely unfair between the Power 5 and the non-Power 5 conferences now. And it's just a different game, and they're flying their players around on private jets to every game, and we scratch and claw to fly them to 8 or 9 games a year. And I'm not saying that that's all that important, but it's a big deal when kids are having to go and fly coach and get up at the middle of the night and sit in an airport, and it's nice when they can be home in their bed. And
he feels good about this year. He feels good about this year coming up, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, so. I think we've got the good. Getting Jeremiah Francis, I think, was a big deal. We really needed that kind of veteran point guard presence, and that's kind of been the missing ingredient.
And
we had JJ last year, but obviously we don't have.
And he says we have a couple of backups. Or not back. That could be.
We
got some good point guards.
We've got depth at a lot of different positions. So I think they're all pretty excited. There's a couple gaps and weaknesses. I think that they'd be quick to acknowledge if you cornered them and asked them. But but they're working on it. And honestly, I think the composition of the team and who they have coming back. I think just the attitude and the mindset of the guys that they have is going to be exceptional. And I think that they've really started to look harder, I think, at just attitude.
Have you got to meet Danny Gonzalez, Coach Danny?
I haven't met Coach. I shook hands with him at a basketball game.
You guys are going to hit it off too. He's a good guy.
And it's what's been cool is just to see the level of energy and the excitement, and it's just contagious. I think Davey. came in that way, but I think he got a little tired.
Yeah.
And I think the fan base got tired too. And I think the
Well,
fan base wants
to me,
people-
he wasn't a people guy. He wasn't out in the community. He wasn't out there trying to be your friend.
Right.
You know, he wasn't. You know,
Yeah, he
and
wasn't very
it's too-
accessible,
It's too
yeah.
bad. You know,
Yeah.
and Danny's from here. Danny's here. He knows the culture. You know, I
Yep.
think he's gonna build it, and all this is. We'll see. Like you say with this Kobe. You know.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're saying, oh, you know, I saw the article 2 days ago or a day ago that said, oh, we might not have mass gatherings for 18 months. I'm like,
Well, we don't got to worry about football.
holy cow.
You know, that's 12, 14,000. We're there all the time, so we're good.
25% occupancy at the football stadium. We're fine, you know. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
we're good,
it's
we're
gonna basketball will be an interesting animal. I don't know what they're gonna do there. Hopefully things change because it seems like as this thing evolves, everything changes by the 2 weeks. It seems like so. Hopefully, come August, we're having different conversations and maybe we're sitting 3 seats apart from each other or something. I don't know what we're gonna
You
do.
know,
but
like it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be all right, no matter what it is. I mean, we're fans. You know,
we'll
it's
figure
gonna
it out.
happen. Yeah.
We'll,
So
we'll master our streaming options, right? Like we've done on everything else.
anything on your mind? You want to share out there?
No, man. I mean,
we're good.
I've just been. It's been cool to be here. I mean, I'm excited about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with the Lobos, kind of across the board, and you know, I think it's a very interesting time that we're living in. 2020 has been it's been one for the books. I think we're going to remember this year for a very long time for a lot of different.
You can make a movie and call it Jumanji.
Man.
They had the monster bees with the monster
Yeah,
hornets.
the killer hornets.
Killer hornets.
We've got
the plague
we've got
or
we got the plague.
the
We have
epidemic. Now you got the riots in the streets.
Man.
What's next?
it's crazy.
Make a movie out of this year. I'm telling you, 2020.
Yeah, it's wild. But you know, I think a lot of the stuff was overdue. You know, I think I think we were due for a pandemic type deal with how much population has changed and the living conditions in certain parts of the world. And I think we've have a long
Restart, right?
overdue.
Like a restart button. Like a
Yeah,
restart button.
and I think the conversations that are happening now about race and equality, I think, are long overdue too. So I think, you know, maybe 2020 we'll look back and say, you know, it's crazy to live through it right now, but maybe this is the year where we finally got our crap together.
History will tell us, you know, what 2020 is all about, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. So, but you know, you look healthy. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
You know, and
I mean,
know a
at the
lot
end of the day, well, that's what
you know,
that's
so
all we got.
I know a lot of people out there that are doing well and they're healthy, and you know, just keep on staying positive. I'm a positive guy.
100%.
You know, there's things half full. Yours is almost full.
Mine's ready to get refilled. No, I love it, and I appreciate you having me on. It's been a great
we'll do
conversation.
it again. You know, so again, Mackenzie Bishop, Abrazo Homes. If you're out looking for a new house,
AbrazoHomes.com.
AbrazoHomes.com. Check them out. And,
Hit us up.
Ask for Mackenzie, and I'm sure he'll give you a private tour. Yeah. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks,
we're
Jason.
going to just hang it up, close it up, and
Appreciate you, sir.
Senor, we'll do it
We
again.
shake or we elbow.
Yeah,
or fist
everything.
bump, whatever.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.
Be well.